Hello? Hello, Mike. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm sorry, I'm not at home at the moment. No. Do you want to phone at me? No, I mean, do you want to ask me now? Oh, I'm just around a friend's place. Well, it's all right. Yeah, unless you want to do it about this evening. I should have been there, actually, but I'm not. I'm sorry about that, Mike. It's my fault. Because I've got a rehearsal at 1 o'clock in an hour with Martin. So, the guy I play with. And, so I do want to work this. I do apologise. It's my mistake. Yeah, I will give you the answers. It might be better if you ask me the questions and I talk to you like that over the phone, yeah? Are you sure? Alright, have you got a day off today? Alright, oh that's good, isn't it? This Friday? Yeah. That'd be fantastic, mate. Yeah, that'd be great. Early the better. Yeah, 'cause my brain works in the morning. Hey, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to your birthday. Yeah. Oh, please. That'd be really nice. All right then, buds. Oh, thanks for calling. All right, Andrew. Bye. Bye.
Radio programs, they put you on the spot. Which I've done. The trouble is with people, they don't realise that when I mean it, you gotta mean it. Otherwise, you don't see it, innit? First record I bought was Cliff Richards. And what's the name of his other band? The Shadows. Yeah. I started singing at the hospital way back in the 60s with a guy called Mike. His surname escapes me, but he was an Eric Clapton freak. He used to think the world, Clapton was God to him, and at the end of the day he used to walk around. Is this recording?
I hope so.
At the end of the day, he was walking around the store singing and that, and then got me involved in it and said if I'd like to go along with his mates, we could go along and do some jamming and make some songs up. We were doing soul songs then. It wasn't nothing like Clapton whatsoever. It was completely different.
And did you have any lessons? See?
No, I never had a lesson in my life. No, I don't know what a lesson is.
And did you used to sing along to radio and stuff?
I used to sing along really basically to Laurie's and Carl's when I was 4. And that's what started it all. That's really what started the whole thing.
But what got you interested in music then? And the rhythms and the style?
Well, basically, this guy called Michael, this Eric Clapton freak, he actually started me on the road to music, because I would never have probably have done it unless he would have inveigled me into it.
What's that word again?
Which he did.
I'll have to look up what that means. Do you know what it means? Inveigled. Can you elaborate further on this word?
Yes, to inveigle someone is to suck them in the modern term.
Okay.
To inveigle them into your way of thinking.
And I'll change the question slightly, but where did you meet Nigel Thomas? How did you meet him?
I met Nigel Thomas for the very first time at Clapham Junction. There's a little church there, and there was a group of friends of mine playing in a group. In fact, the group was called The Crowd. The Crowd. That comes to my memory. And
That was with you, innit?
with me singing, and drummer, bass, and a guitar player.
Original or covers?
Covers and some original. Mostly original. Mostly my originals, because I was started to sort of write things down and make songs. So they quite liked what I was doing. So they went along with it. That's your funny bone gone now. And then all of a sudden, I don't hear you laughing. And at the end of the day, that should go down well. And then I thought to myself, oh yeah, this is good. And then suddenly Nigel walked in, because Mike, the drummer, he called him up to listen to the band. And basically, he heard the band, said he loved it, loved what he heard. But in actual fact, he was really after me.
And did you know Nigel Thomas? Did you know the Misunderstood? Or
No, that didn't even exist to me, in my mind. I'd never even heard of them.
So you never had any of their records?
No, nothing at all.
Did he mention being managed
No.
the band? Or?
Not at that particular point in time in Clapham Junction Church Hall. No, he never mentioned nothing like that whatsoever. He just gave me a card and said, phone this number, come up, I'd like to have a chat with you. I said, well, what about the rest of the boys in the band? He said, oh, it doesn't matter about that. He said, I've already sorted that out. And me being young and naive and green round the ear holes, I believed him. So I went up I phoned him, and then I went up to the office, and he said, look, this is what I'd like to do with you, Raymond. I'd like to put you on a retainer, which was then £50 a week. Now, £50 a week in the 60s was a hell of a lot of money for a young man who didn't bloody know much about anything.
Did you get the £50 a week?
Yes. No, he actually gave it to me. Yeah, in the hand, in cash. And I thought, oh, I must be on a good thing here. You know, not thinking...
And the first thing you did with him was the single?
Yeah, the single. The first thing I did was a single, which was between it was organised between Nigel Thomas and Jack Baverstock, who happened to be the head of Fontana Phillips at that particular point in time.
So that was before getting busted in Germany?
Oh yes.
The single was first, and then...
Well, I don't know about the bust. I mean...
You went to do the TV thing for Misunderstood.
Well, I mean, where are we now? You've lost me.
Well, after meeting Nigel Thomas,
yeah,
you did the single.
Yeah.
And then I read the story about you, because Glenn Campbell and this American singer didn't have work permits to go to Germany. He got you and Neil Hubbard to go and do the miming on TV. Well,
I vaguely remember going to a place in Germany, I must be honest, and I had all these girl dancers all dressed in this next to nothing stuff dancing around me, and I had to do this thing called Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. That's what I do remember. I remember that because I had to go to Germany to do German television to do the single, to promote.
When you got arrested?
Now this arresting bit that you keep going on about, this was in actual fact years on with Juicy Lucy.
Really?
Yeah, really. That's the only time I've been arrested. The whole band has been arrested, not just me. But
in Germany?
In Germany, in Berlin. Berlin.
Oh.
That's the only time that I can recall ever, when they had machine guns on us and everything.
And the Super Show, that was before the Stains.
The Stains Super Session was...
Lucy, wasn't it? That was the end of Misunderstood.
No, that was when I joined... Oh, that was the early 60s. Before Juicy Lucy even began. That was when...
Yeah.
Before I did...
It was 67 it was.
Yeah, this was in actual fact before I actually joined the Misunderstood.
Yeah, because Zeppelin were there.
Zeppelin were there. They were all there. No, because we was running off elsewhere.
I think they filmed a bit on another day, actually.
Yeah. But there was a lot of people there. And there was one point I got up and...
Do you remember what song you did? Or songs?
Yeah, I did Don't Bother Me, actually. And I did it with...
Was that with Clapton?
Yeah, there was Eric Clapton on one guitar, lead guitar. There was Buddy Guy on the other guitar. He was I'll never forget it. He was wearing a blue suit. Buddy Guy was wearing a blue suit with dirty, great big wide trousers with turn-ups at the bottom and black shoes. And he was pulling all these faces when he was playing. And Clapton looked very disgruntled because he didn't like the fact that, you know, this black man could play guitar, like, outdo him. I mean, Buddy Guy's an original blues lead player anyway, blues boy. And Clapton in this country, in England, or Britain I should say, is supposed to be God. But there are many more than one God. You know, there's lots of gods all over the world. And Buddy Miles happened to be one of them.
But he was drumming, Buddy Miles.
Buddy Guy, rather. Sorry, Buddy Guy.
And do you remember the other band members?
But yeah, the other band members, there was Chris Mercer on the saxophone, Buddy Miles on the drums, Dick Exel Smith was playing sax with Chris Mercer, and I'm just trying to think who was on the bass. I can't remember who was on the bass because it's such a long time ago. But they're the sort of...
was that the first time you played with anybody sort of famous?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Was it freaky?
Quite honestly, at the time, I wasn't really bothered about it that much because I just thought, well, you know, they can teach me a few things because...
Did you get any compliments from any of them?
Yes, I got lots of compliments, but I just thought to myself, well, thank you very much.
Did Clapton say anything?
No, he was miserable.
He was still worried about having his line lost.
He didn't even say thank you to Buddy or any of the other guys. He was just totally like looking like a sour lemon.
And so it was after that you ended up joining the Misunderstood to play bass.
Yeah. Then Nigel said to me, Nigel Thomas, he said to me, he said, look, he said, you know that I played a little bit of guitar. He said, you're going to have to play bass. I said, well, I don't play bass. And he said, well, you're going to have to learn. He said, you've got 2 weeks to learn. So I had to learn to play bass. What considered as being bass. And then at the end of the day, he seemed to like it. The band seemed to like it, so I played with them. And also I did harmonies as well, because I'm a singer first.
So who was singing when you started playing the bass?
There's one of Glenn Fernando Campbell's friends from America, from LA. He's a singer, a very good looking blonde guy, young guy, very nice fella, called Steve Hald.
Yeah.
Steve Hald. And lovely fella. But then Nigel got rid of him simply for the reason being that Nigel knew that he'd already worked it out that I'd had a single out, and that he seemed to like my voice, which I can't knock that because it's all in my honour, if you like, for lack of, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm thinking, because as I'm getting more mature because of the people I'm working with and understanding more about the business, which I still don't understand it even now at my age, because I don't suppose I ever will, because there's too many shysters out there.
So between the Super Show and being in Misunderstood and then Juicy Lucy, did you play with any other bands, any other
only jamming?
Sessions or anything?
Yeah, Dr. John, and then there was people like I don't know. There's so many people that I can't even remember who I did and didn't play with. I played with Mark Boland. He used to come round my flat.
What era was that? Was that early 70s or late 60s?
Yeah, early 70s. Before he, obviously.
He was famous.
Yeah, he was famous. But him and his wife and his little baby came round. I think it's Roland, is it? His baby's called Roland. I held the baby and I took him round some seafood round at my flat. And, Pete Townsend knows me. He calls me a rough diamond. God knows why, but he does. And at the end of the day, I know so many people and they know me. There's...
Tommy Vance as well.
Tommy Vance, lovely Tommy, yeah.
He's dead now.
Yeah, he's passed on. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I used to go round his flat and we used to sit there and...
You used to sit drinking bottles of whiskey on the terrace?
Yeah. No problem. Because in them days were different. I mean, these days, things are tightened up a bit. and the people, the laws have changed and everything. But in them days, you've got to remember that I'm 63 now. So at the end of the day, when I was younger, when music we started, it used to be a lot freer, and people were a lot happier what they did. It wasn't just like nowadays. It's, oh, what's going on? Oh, what should I do next? You know, it's all like that.
So when you were in the Misunderstood and playing bass, and then they got rid of that singer, and did you instantly take over?
Well, Nigel got rid of. Well, I don't like that word, but he sacked Steve Hall, who I thought was a fantastic singer, and then again the second time. Thank you, darling. Then he replaced him with me.
Yeah.
And I felt bad about that. That's just twice that's happened to me, on 2 occasions, all through Nigel Thomas. And if you look back on everything I've said, it will say that.
And how much rehearsing did you do before you went to do the recording for the Lucy album?
For Juicy Lucy, I believe we've done about a month. Yeah, about a month. And then we just went straight and did it.
And where did you record it?
It was called at Oxford Circus. There was a place there called ICI or IC something, ICB or something like that. It's a long time ago, but it was in the studios there, Oxford Circus. I remember recording it, and in fact, at that particular time, I had a very, very nasty cold, and this was part of the reason why Who Do You Love came out like it did. It was purely by accident, by all the chemicals in the air, I suppose, and getting a cold or whatever reasons. And I had the voice sounded gruff, and it just seemed to work. So we went with it.
And did you do the whole album in sort of one long session over a day, or did you come and go? And
No, we came and go.
were you doing gigs as well?
We came and went, and we probably did it in about. It was a bit of a rush job, about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So, week and a half, 2 weeks. And it was very hard hitting for me because I was the baby of the band. I was the youngest member, and I was one with the green round the back of my ear rolls, the one who didn't really understand what was going on, and I was just going along with the flow and trying to learn it.
When you start gigging after that, how often a week were you playing?
As far as I remember, mostly all the time. In fact, so much so that it got to the stage where we were doing, sometimes, not all the time, don't quote me on this, but 3 gigs in one day. And I'm talking about early afternoon session, late afternoon session, and then the evenings. And it was absolutely knackering. It really was knackering. And, it wasn't all the time, I admit that, but there was times when we did do that. And we was working regularly all the time, under the Bronze Agency, Jerry Bron and Lillian Bron.
And after the Juicy Lucy and we got the Rowan to Moon thing together, did you do that all on your own, or did someone help you do it?
No, I had somebody else helping me to instigate that. Well, before that, I had some management with the Ray Owens Moon, which I actually fell out with promptly after a while. Went to Italy and did a tour over there, and he stole my equipment and claimed it was his, and I said it wasn't, and it went on, to and fro. In the end, I said, look, I've had enough of you. He said, look, I'll tell you what, he said, I've got a deal for you. He said, there's a thing going on at the Roundhouse. So he got Jack Good over. I don't know if you've heard of Jack Good, but he used to do all the rock and roll shows. He's quite a famous impresario, Jack Good. And he interviewed me and said, would I like to play the part of Othello at the Roundhouse as an actor? So I've never done any acting before. I've seen other people acting, Did
you do it?
No, at the end of the day, I just said no. I said, I'm right in the middle of this album. I said, I want to get this album sorted. I said, I'd rather do that,
Jack. Did you
Jack.
find the musicians and people you knew, or...
Sorry?
The musicians for the album. How did you find them? Or did you find them, or someone else, or did you know them?
Well, Pete Dobson from Juicy Lucy recommended that I have Ian, his cousin, on drums. I said, well, let's have a listen, because I'd never heard him before. So he came up, and we got him in rehearsals, and straight away it was I liked his character, I liked everything about him, he was fantastic. But most of all, he was a bloody good drummer. And coupled with that, he was a great person. So there was no problem. It was straight away. He liked us, we liked him, and that was it. So he was there. Then one of the guitarists was a friend of mine called Dick Stubbs. Now he was a fabulous chap, and he was my personal friend. We used to knock about together. He was about my colour, long scraggly hair, and I used to play a Gibson Les Paul. And him and that guitar, I used to take it to bed with him. You know, he was that obsessed with it. And then we got all the other members of the band in, and then we created Ray Owen's Moon, which was my very first solo album.
And is that the band you played with at the Festival of the Midnight Sun?
It is the band that I played the Isle of Wight Festival with.
Right.
The Isle of Wight Festival.
And what about when you on the plane, Chuck Berry and Juicy Lucy were on the plane?
Ah, that's another one. That was with Ray Owen's Moon. Yes, it was. Now I come to think of it, I sat next to Chuck Berry on the plane going over, and the Festival of Midnight Sun in Sweden.
And then had to chill him.
Yeah, I had to chill him underneath the stage with Chuck. He said to me, "Do you smoke?" I said, "Occasionally." I said, "Never used to." He said, "Would you like?" He said, "On the plane, this is." He said, "Would you like?" I said, "I've got some nice blow." He said, "Let's get settled in at the hotel." He said, "Meet me underneath the stage." He said, we'll have a chill 'em. And so we did. And it was great. Yeah, we didn't even talk about music. We were just talking about people and everything else. Because you don't take your homework home with you, do you? You know, when you're meeting people, you don't talk. The last thing you talk about is music. Because people get bored with it. You know, you want to just be yourself. That's how I see it. And I think that's how he saw it. You know.
Just out of personal interest, how did you end up going to Crawley?
Crawley?
Yeah.
I went to Crawley for one reason. I used to live in Fulham, as you know. But I went to Crawley because my mother was seriously ill.
Right.
And you got to remember, I was adopted when I was 5 weeks old. And I owe my mother and father a lot of thanks. I can never ever repay them for what they've done for me. They gave me a life. And I wouldn't even be in this position if it wasn't for them. So I could have been worse off. I could have been some kind of like 8-ball bloody gangster, man. You know, going around robbing old ladies and stuff like that. But I never did, because I was brought up the right way. So
But you went to Crawley?
I went to Crawley because she was dying. So I gave up my flat and I moved down there.
Were they living in Crawley then?
Yeah. Yeah. Not all their lives. My mother wanted to be near her brother. So I went down there.